Namaste friends, hope you're all doing great. This is Shreyanka S. Ranade. There is an important article in today's The Hindu, that is 13th January 2021, and it is written by Suhasini Haidar, who is also one of the expert writer in the foreign policy issues. She is also a journalist with The Hindu, and she also happens to be the daughter of Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Coming back to this article, why it is so important. See, she is writing on this SAARC matter, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. SAARC has been the prominent feature of South Asia's identity, and she is writing with respect to certain perspectives and certain concerns she is raising, that what are the challenges for SAARC today, why SAARC must be revived, and how India must see SAARC as an opportunity in the post-pandemic world. And finally, she is trying to say that if India do not take this opportunity ahead to have a collective, consentive, and have a regional cooperative kind of structure, if it is not revived, then there is a high possibility that our China, our neighbor China, is going to seize that opportunity and may try to dismantle it or take over these SAARC nations minus Bhutan and India. Of course, this is an important challenge at this point of time. Many experts, even Subramania Jaishankar, who is also the foreign minister, who in his book did not directly take away the perspective of NAM or even this SAARC aspect, but she is very clearly mentions that SAARC must be primary motive for South Asia and India's growth story, or India's rise in the Asian continent. And with respect to look east, or with respect to regional comprehensive economic trade, tariff, tourism, health, etc., all these aspects could be tapped well when we grow together as SAARC organization. That is what she is trying to say. And finally, that part is very important, that do not look this SAARC from the prison of China, but rather you look this SAARC from the prism of India itself, so that we can achieve lot of things. So coming back to the question, what is this SAARC? SAARC, as we all know, it was established in the year 1985, and it was a 7-member country initially. Then in 2005, Afghanistan joined. Today it is 8 members country, that is say from Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Afghanistan. Of course, it is headquartered in Kathmandu, Nepal. The principle behind forming of SAARC in 1985 was that we must all respect, all our South Asian countries must respect sovereignty, equality, and territorial integrity, political independence, non-interference in the internal affairs of other states, and mutual benefit. It is a kind of extended version of Panchashil Tattva. Make sure, and it is very clear, that China was not part of this SAARC, because of course it does not belong to South Asia per se, even if it includes Tibet or something like that. Let us keep it those things aside. But fact of the matter, South Asia at the paramount interest, see, this idea of SAARC was like the cooperation between the states, which is beyond that bilateral understanding and bilateral cooperation towards the multilateral cooperation, but it should complement each other. That is what the idea of SAARC was. And the multilateralism, at the same time regional aspiration and regional cooperation was the key to the SAARC. We have seen there are many regional blocks along Mercosur in the South America, or Caribbean kind of arrangement in Central America, and then there is European Union, then there is aspect of East Africa, single joint visa kind of thing. We have many such arrangements which are there for regional comprehensive partnership or something like that. Today it is RCEP. That is also in works, that where India did not join there. So the idea was that welfare of all. It was the idea, it was functioning very good until there was an attack on Uri. And that was the time when India decided that terrorism and dialogue do not go hand in hand. And hence, it actually boycotted that whenever that Pakistan is going to, hold the meetings, India said with terrorism, with cross-border infiltration, with territorial claims, with other blocking of SAARC initiatives, India decided not to go ahead with the Pakistan's or Pakistan's play. But Pakistan is trying to play the veto in here and taking the opportunity as a spoiler, or trying to take the advantage of India's situation. But fact of the matter, this SAARC is very important even today or even in the future. Why? Because SAARC comprises nearly 3% of world's area and 21% of world's population. It accounts around 3.8%, that is nearly 2.9 trillion US dollars of global economy. That is why when there is an economic aspect, when there is a population aspect, and when there is an area perspective, this SAARC can be, if tapped well and if used well, with respect to free trade area agreement and SAFTA, that is only one of the primary free trade agreement India had actually had with this South Asian neighbors. Hence, there are also multiple challenges with respect to health front, with respect to development front, with respect to literacy front, with respect to human development index. There are multiple fronts, and India could become the leader of that SAARC. And of course, it is the leader. But having said all these things, that SAARC dialogues must not be held back for any of the reasons. That is why Suhasini Haidar's article begins by saying that since 2016, there has been no as such SAARC meeting held, even if that virtual meetings are held during COVID, but that is not an actual summit level meeting. And she starts by saying the shadows over the meets. She is very, very clearly saying that South Asia as a fragmented group. See, when united we stand, divided we fall. That is what she is trying to say. Even the multilateral, organizations and other international organizations are dealing with individual countries rather than as a whole, as a bloc. When we see as a bloc, that is what I said, 3% of the area and population, etc., etc. When we see that as a bloc, there will be much weightage as a SAARC union and SAARC region to seek more, or to demand more. But it is getting fragmented. Hence the bilateral arrangements are going high. But there is a time that this is the time when globalization in itself is in doubts. That means that is a time to be with respect to that regional cooperations. So she says that even if it was started in 1985 and post-Uri thing and this LAC kind of thing, China's LAC kind of thing, she is from the beginning is trying to say that Modi government must review its position and reverse that trend. Why? Because India has a problem with Pakistan. That is quite certain, that Pakistan on terrorism, territorial claims, and purposefully Pakistan is trying to block that SAARC initiatives, like on connectivity and on the trade things. We have seen how it was blocking India's attempts in the past. So this is also kind of thing. It is on one side, and on the other side we must understand that India is actively participating, even if there is LAC standoff, even if there is a Galwan standoff. Even if that is the case, India is still participating in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or whenever there is a possibility that Russia, India, China trilateral, and also in the G20 and other summits, India is actively participating wherever there is a presence of China. She says, then why, if that China, even when we have the standoff, even we are having dialogue with China, why can't with Pakistan? But one thing is very clear, even the writer must understand, even everyone must understand, that terrorism is different from the cross border claims, or let's say the war kind of situation is different. Still the dialogue is going on, still the talks are going on, but this terrorism kind of thing, it is completely different. Anyhow, both the things cannot be compared, both the things have their own challenges. Coming back to this article, yes, and even with Nepal also we have problems, but we are still having summit level different online multilateral summits. And of course she is very particular, so why not, we are discussing and we are engaging with Pakistan. We must understand, we always had that idea to go with the track 2 diplomacy, track 3 diplomacy and all, but every time when one step is ahead with Pakistan, 2 steps are taken behind, for the simple reason, one or the other way, their attacks and their terrorism kind of activities are disturbing India's own sovereignty and also peace of that South Asian region. Now, coming back to the article, she says pandemic caused challenges. What sort of challenges? That is common challenge for everyone. Even the smaller countries are facing highest challenges. Let's say in the earlier times, it was faced. The countries faced how to tackle this lockdown, how to face this economic crunch, what to do, what is this, there was India's, medicine, which was supplied to all over the world, even including the South Asian nations. But most of the countries did not have. Even during the pandemic times, India played a pivotal role in distributing different medicines. And we have seen that. And even now, at this point of time, when there is a vaccination, which is also advanced by India, that is Covishield and Covaxin, this is also time that India is going to distribute bilaterally, not as a comprehensive SARC kind of thing. India is going to do its role. At the same time, these South Asian economies, they are calling for the coordination, for the simple reason that the GDP slowdown and global job cuts, and also estimated fall of 22% of remittances, that is the migrant labor's revenue, and other expatriates from the South Asian countries, etc., etc. The most important fact which I need to mention here is that there is going to be a loss of 10.77 million jobs and US $52.32 billion in GDP in tourism sector alone from the impact of COVID-19. That means the countries dependent on say tourism, it is going to be worst affected. That is, she is also hinting at something that see, there's a time to go ahead and then conduct a meeting, and this is a time to show the leadership and take everyone along. At the same time, it is also time that tourism could be tapped, that potential is there, that can generate economic boost, that can generate employment, that can generate deeper connectivity in the region. That is what she is trying to say. And intra-regional and transnational approach towards tourism is needed. That is what they did, like East Africa single joint visa, the bubbles which was created post-pandemic in Scandinavian countries in Europe, and this already it is in the existence, that East Africa single joint visa, Mekong kind of thing, and Caribbean kind of islands kind of thing. They have that sort of coordination, so that they are giving incentives, go there, spend money. That is kind of a thing through which the promotion of tourism is going on. At a time for regional initiatives. See, most importantly, this regional initiatives, she begins by saying there are 3 important securities, that is food, job and health, which should be looked into. Hence, that comprehensive approach is needed. That is what she is saying. And as I said earlier, China is trying to take the advantage. China is trying to play the spoiler. China is also having, this health silk route perspective, wherein it is trying to give the health benefits or health packages, or let's say medicine, vaccination, etc., by engaging that country towards this silk route initiative, or trying to keep it very closely. That is a spoiler kind of thing. At the same time, there is also doubts on globalization, that is rising of nativism and self-dependence. and localizing supply chains. These are the things which are talked about. You might be remembering what is Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is the kind of thing which she has expressed in 3-4 lines. And when these kind of regional blocks are getting revived for the simple reason, see, no country cannot be closed, no country cannot be too much globalized, no country cannot be just dependent on the bilateral trade. Today globalization has hit a worse kind of thing, or it is at the lowest ebb, but all the countries all over the world, they have their own regional coordination to face that pressure, and they also have that ease, that what do you say, regional cooperation, regional comprehensive cooperated, that kind of a partnership will always help in easing that pressure. That is what she is trying to say. And that Goldilocks zone, what is that Goldilocks zone? Goldilocks zone is a habitable zone in the space, or let's say whether it is not too cold or too harsh or too hot. That means that Goldilocks zone, which is between hyper nationalism and also it is also what do you say, between globalization and hyper nationalism, that block which could help in prospering everyone. And she's giving different examples like Mercosur, European Union, etc., how different countries are in different aspects, like RCEP, where India is not a partner or kind of thing, and even Gulf Cooperation Council recently, the Qatar kind of thing. There is a next article which also says that Qatar and Saudi Arabia's deal, right, it is also one of the kind of thing to revive that Gulf Cooperation Council. And now the point is of China's perspective, China's prism. See, China is trying to find the opportunity in SAARC. As I said earlier, China is not a member of SAARC. China is the just advisor, or let's say it is observer. It is having observer status. Every decade there was a demand to include China. Every time China's name came, but India and other countries denied it. Especially Bhutan and India were very they decided not to entertain China. But China is observer. That's all. And this is the time it is trying to play the spoiler. It is trying to have a very deep connection with Pakistan, Sri Lanka, with port projects, Silk Route revival, One Belt One initiative, then the Health Silk Route initiative. These are the things which trying to take the advantage that there is no comprehensive partnership, or there is no existence of SAARC. That means China is finding an opportunity to seize, have partnership with the countries. It is trying to do the same with Nepal. It is trying to do the same with Pakistan. It has tried to do with Bangladesh, and also it has extended its foot towards Sri Lanka. It is not a new thing. Hence, India must see very cautiously. India must not see from the prism of China, but from the prism of India, how we can tap it to best of its possibility. Despite this rebuff, China has continued to push its way into South Asia, because even the territorial things and other things, India has stood very strongly. It is also not part of a Silk Road initiative. That's why China wants to enter and take opportunity in South Asia. See, it is going for heavy investment, trade, tourism, and South Asian student preferences on universities, etc. And it is sending medicines, personal protective equipment kits. We have seen PPE and other kits in the beginning. It was distributed by China itself. Also, COVID was also distributed by China itself, that nobody talks of. And again, it is also promising that vaccine will be provided. That is what I was mentioning, Health Silk Road initiative. And only matter of time before Beijing holds a meeting of all SAARC countries minus India and Bhutan. She is very clearly warning that, looking at the scenario and looking at the speed with which China is moving, there's quite a possibility that it is going to have a meeting in different name, not probably in the name of SAARC, but it is going to have a aligned regional cooperation with other countries. Probably India and Bhutan may not join, but we don't know about other countries. That means before China could take that advantage, India must step in, and India steps. It should be, today it is of more bilateral, but it should become comprehensively regional. Cooperation should be the key, and that is why geography is reality, and even that Beijing's prism must be kept out to become that Goldilocks, to make sure that this SAARC should be tapped to best of its potential. India must see from its own prism, and of course for the common future, and as a force multiplier for India's ambitions on the global stage. Very important. Today we are saying that India is no longer just a player, but India tries to, or India claims its position because of its capacity, be it democracy, demographic dividend, be it demand, be it whatever it may be. Even in the vaccination drive, we were able to produce very successful vaccinations for the cheaper cost. Remember, it would have been not possible for the foreign countries to do so. That innovation, that potential, that R&D, we are going ahead. Today, our global aspirations and our 21st century, if we say that it belongs to India or Asia, India's role is paramount in that, and nobody can stop that India's rise. But two democracies at the confronting edges, one will always try to take the advantage of others' limitations. China is actively doing that. With CPEC did that. In Hambantota port project, it did the same thing in Sri Lanka. It tried to have a base on Maldives. Thankfully, India's diplomacy worked well, and India's role was proactive towards Maldives, and it dejected. Anyhow, but today, if we are not playing an active role with respect to SAARC, China may seize the opportunity. Hence, it is necessary, because we are not saying that SAARC is an unfinished chapter. We are still considering, be it any government, every government considers SAARC is a reality, and that is where we see the hope in. And for becoming a regional, when RCEP seemed to be affecting, negatively to Indian farmers and others, India did not join. But for India's interest of economic and other free trade agreements, if it cannot do so with the European Union when it is a loss-making thing for India or costly affair, then it should continue with SAARC, Act East, Mercosur, and East African countries. These are the opportunities which are available to India. Of course, India is not going to lose such an opportunity, but SAARC must not be, kept to die, but it should be revived at the right time. Engage with the Pakistan, if not bilaterally, on SAARC platforms. We should not give the Pakistan the veto power. Rather, we should make sure that India plays a pivotal role and Pakistan be the part in SAARC as just a member, and probably just negating with Pakistan, or the situations are changing even in Afghanistan. This region needs to be stable, peaceful and prosperous, for which one active SAARC or the re-emergence of SAARC is quite necessary. I agree with some of the points of the author, but fact of the matter, what fact and what reality is going to be reality itself. Hence, that SAARC milestone must be achieved once again by India's prowess and India's leadership, not as a big brother, but as the leader of flag bearer of development and mutual growth, prosperity and overall development of all. That is what, once again, to say that we must start looking from our own prism, not from the prism of China. Otherwise, that Chinese prism might affect us, but India's prism will always uphold India's interest as well as the region's interest. Thank you once again. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind. This is Shreyank S. Ranade. Hope it was useful for you. Do like, comment, share and subscribe. Do write your views on this discussion. Dhanyavad.